Guys, lately I've just been talking about the NHS, why people need to join the NHS, why it's beneficial for somebody who is an immigrant to join the NHS, the benefits in terms of work-life balance and everything else. But guys, I've got a lot of feedback from all of you to say, Flo, I've got an interview with the NHS. Flo, I want to apply in the NHS. Is it any different from domiciliary? Is it any different from working in a care home? How has it been like? And I thought long and hard, guys. Don't get this wrong, because I'm one person who, when I see an opportunity, half the time I get excited more about the opportunity, and I never worry or think really hard about like when I get there what's going to happen. I'm that person. I'm good like that. So again, when I joined the NHS, I had a whole lot of a different experience altogether behind me. I was coming from a domiciliary care background. I'd worked in a care home. I'd worked, that time I was still working in support work. So it's different from what I was going into. But I never worried. I never bothered. I was like so confident. Oh, they'll train me. They will. But when I got there, that's when I realized like it's a whole different ballgame altogether. And if one could really get a heads up, that helps, that goes a long way. No wonder why I thought I'll make this video so that I can share my experience, so that somebody can actually learn, somebody can actually draw confidence from this experience. And guys, it's also to say it's not as scary as you would imagine. It's not as scary as one would think, to say, oh my God, it's the NHS, I've got to work this shift. And today we're going to talk about what happens on a night shift routine, because my contract, it was a 37.5-hour contract, and what it meant was I could work either day shift, night shift, twilight, and everything. And today we want to talk about the night shift routine, because this was something that was totally different from what I had done all my life, guys. A big welcome to my YouTube channel, guys. For those of you watching us for the first time, I'm Florence, and on this platform we do talk about life in the diaspora. And we love to talk about life in the UK because that's where I live. That's where I am. I moved to the UK 2 years ago on a healthcare worker visa, and a lot has happened in between. Amazing stuff, learning curves, growth, and more, which is why I started this journey where I'm sharing with you. I'm debunking my journey. I'm reflecting on this journey with you to give you confidence, to give you belief that you too can. So guys, let's get straight into what a night shift routine is like in a hospital, in the NHS, for me, at least according to my experience. And guys, this is not to take away from whatever that you're going to learn where you're going, because these shift patterns or routines, they differ. They follow a routine and structure which is more or less similar, but they differ from hospital to hospital, ward to ward, team to team. So again, regardless of you having watched this video, which is beautiful and brilliant, and thank you, you also need then to align that with what you will be taught, align with what you'll be shown when you go for your induction. And all the best, guys. Let's get straight into it, and do not forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. So guys, first and foremost, the one thing that I want to emphasize if you're going to work in the NHS is respect for time. Pre-shift, what is it that you need to do? I do encourage people to at least get there 15 to 20 minutes before the shift starts. Guys, if any of my team members is here, they will know I never get there 15 to 20. I'm always like last minute person. Why? I drive half an hour to get to my workplace, but that's no excuse. I'm learning. It's one of the things that I've noticed, like all of my workmates, they are their own time all year, all season, regardless. And guys, it's winter. I'm dreading having to drive to work every day, but I'm going to improve. I want to learn, because everybody gets there quite early. So it's one of the things that I want to encourage you to do. Get there 15 to 20 minutes earlier. Why? It gives you time to recollect, get yourself ready for work itself. Why? What happens in the 15-20 minutes? You're chatting, you're getting to know your teammates. You're also grabbing a cuppa, because I mean, it's something that's common within the NHS. You drink a cuppa. It's part and parcel of the English culture. So you get a chance to make yourself a cuppa. You get a chance to get your hand over, go through it at your own pace. You're reading, you're getting to know your patients, all of them, again, depending on how many you have, but at least you get to read their care plan. You're now preparing yourself for the day. You're now already seeing, again, depending on where you work, but where I do work, there will be a board where you can actually see which patients you're looking after. So you're particularly concentrating, so that when the handover starts, you're actually listening out. Of course, you cover everywhere. If somebody rings and you are not doing anything, you go and attend to them, but you're so focused and you're reading everybody. Okay, this is what I need, what they need, their diet, mobility, and things like that. Guys, I think I'll do another video on handover preparation and care plans and all that, what to expect. So this is why it's so important for you to get there early. So this is what you will be doing. You're being organized, you're being ready for work. So straight into the shift itself. Obviously, of course, you sit for the handover. The handover is done mostly by nurses. They're handing over, they're telling everybody how the shift has been, conditions and things to watch out for, concerns and things like that. But then after that, what you do is you go for the initial patient check round. This is something that is very important, and I encourage people to do this. Why? I remember when I was at work, somebody was telling me, like, Flo, you need to check the patients. Why? Because I think there was a shift where people went and people were not checking, only to find that somebody had died in bed, and on doing postmortem, they had died like hours before, but everybody was just filling in, sleeping. So it's very important you do your initial checks for all your patients. You're checking if they are there in bed, if they are okay, if they are comfortable and safe. So that's quite important. You're also introducing yourself to them, like, oh, hello, I'm Florence, I'm so and so, I'll be looking after you tonight. It's very important. It makes them feel comfortable. It makes them also aware, okay, who do we have tonight? So it's quite important. Again, on your initial round, you're checking if there's any immediate concerns or needs. Does somebody need water? If they run out of a drink, do they need a cup of tea? Are they in pain? Do they need to be taken to the bathroom? Do they need their pad changed? So that's basically what you're doing, pressing issues. Somebody could be needing a charger, or they need their phone put on charger. They need their dangers taken out. They need their hearing aids taken out, things like that. So that's basically what you're doing at that time of the day. So that's the initial checks. The second thing that you will go on to do is monitoring. You could have gotten in the handover to say, oh, such and such obs were not really, they need to be done again in half an hour or in an hour. So that's when you go in, you're again repeating their observations, or depending again in your team, some are done by day shift or some are done by the night shift. So again, that's dependent on your shift, and that's dependent again on who does them, because these differ from hospital to hospital. Some healthcares do that, some nurses do that, so it just differs, guys. So this is not written in stone anyway, guys. So guys, after that, there will be personal care. Why did I go to that? It's because normally the standard that I've seen to date, I don't know, I tend to be corrected, is normally every person, if they've got no more everything, no more skin and whatever, they need to be repositioned every 4 hours, right? But there could be those people who have got vulnerable skin, who have got pressure sores, pressure area concerns, and they could be like needing repositioning maybe 2 hourly, 3 hourly. So you go and attend to those people. You're repositioning them. You're checking if they need their bed changed, if they need their pad changed, things like that. So you're taking care of that. It's very, very important. So you do that on the night shift. Again, as you're doing these things, you're tending to your documentation. You're documenting things. You're documenting as you go. This is very important. But again, there will come a time where in that night shift, you may need to do like filing, where you're taking out all the documentation from the previous day. You're now putting it maybe in a different file, or you're putting it at the back of their folder just to collect information and put in new sheets for day shifts, new sheets for the next day. So you do all that on a night shift, and mostly it's healthcares who do that, so you're keeping on top of things. You're making sure patient name stickers are on there, everything is well labeled, everything is well done, dated, name of hospital is put in there, just ready for the day staff for when they come, because normally it's busier during the day than on night shift. But again, this is dependent on where you work, which ward you work, which hospital you work, which team you work in, and things like that. So apart from that, there are other tiny things that you do along the way. At the beginning of shift as well, you could be like collecting water jugs, collecting cups from, that they would have used for their tea and stuff. and you're tidying up their tables and everything. So these are some of the things that gets the night shift to like pass so quickly, because there's always these tiny bits and bobs to do. So again, stay tuned, because I'll talk about what you can do to fill in the time. But right now I'm just checking off the important major things that you do on a night shift. So stay tuned. So part and parcel also of the things that you do on a night shift is you're supporting patients during the night. Some can become so emotional. Some have got emotional needs. They can become anxious. You go in, you sit with them, you calm them down. Some, depending again on the ward or hospital that you work in, some are on end of life and they require somebody to sit with them, do mouth care, just keep them company, hold their hand and things like that. So it's part and parcel of the things that you'll be required to do. So again, it depends from hospital to hospital, ward to ward, what you will be doing. But it's part and parcel of the things that you do. I cannot talk about a shift in the hospital and not talk about answering call bells and stuff. Why? Because it's not timed when people will need care, when people will need attendance. So along the way throughout the shift, you're constantly having to answer bells, you're constantly having to answer to alarms. What do I mean by alarms? Some people, depending again on their care needs, may have mobility issues. Some people may have conditions whereby they wander about, so their full senses may go off, and then you need to go and attend to those things just as a way of mitigating falls risk. So alarms and call bells are answered whenever. You just have to constantly listen and watch out for those things. Also, part and parcel of the things that you do on a night shift is cleaning and restocking. So I'll talk a bit on this, because this is part and parcel of the things that I want to talk about at the end of the video. So stay tuned as to how do you manage your time throughout a night shift. So stay tuned. So you do cleaning, you're cleaning equipment. This could be lifting equipment. You're making sure your serostats, your hoists, your returns, or if all lifting equipment is cleaned, is tagged. So these are part and parcel of your night duties. You're making sure commodes and continence equipment are cleaned. Commodes, bedpans, make sure they are cleaned on the night shift. And these are things that you actually like do sign for. To say we've cleaned lifting equipment, you sign. Pet slides signed. You say we've cleaned commodes and bedpans, you sign for those things. So it's part and parcel of the tasks that you do. Also part and parcel of the tasks that you do, cleaning the patient tables, keeping on top of hygiene. Hygiene is at the core of everything. So there's no waiting in a hospital. Say, I'll wait for housekeeping staff to come and clean. You clean as you go. There are things that you just do, regardless of who you are, regardless of your portfolio. You just got to clean. So cleaning is part and parcel of the jobs that you do on a night shift. Also, restocking is part of the jobs that you do on a night shift. Restocking, what do I mean by restocking? You're making sure that the glove station are filled in. Day staff may have like used all the gloves, or maybe a size glove is finished. So you're restocking and getting the stations ready for the day. Also, what is that you restock? You're restocking the linen trolley ready for the day staff. For when they come in, they're washing everybody, they're making beds and stuff. So you have to make sure their linen trolley is fully stocked. Their personal care trolley is fully stocked. Everything is ready, done, and there just for them to use in the morning. Also, part and parcel of the things that you do restock, aprons and other things. So you just make sure all these things are done on a night shift. So it's part and parcel of the jobs that you do. Also part and parcel, depending again on your responsibilities, always check. These differ from hospital to hospital. I know in some hospitals, people do like calibration of BM machines. So it's part and parcel of the things that you do on a shift, but this can differ from hospital to hospital. So don't take it as she said and I'll do it. So you wait and you're told. So guys, last but not least, I'll talk about end of shift, the final checks that you got to do. Again, I always say this to say, I live up north and mostly it's farmers that we look after. So some of these people have always had an early day all their life. They wake up early, they want to be ready, and so they may request, or they may ask to say, they weren't washed that early in the morning. You wash them 6 o'clock, you're washing them. You're also what it does is you're helping the day staff for when they come. We're not saying wake up people when they are asleep, but if somebody is already awake, they are wanting to be washed, you can as well just offer them a wash. Some people may wake up quite early and maybe they want a slice of toast, they want their breakfast early, they want a cup of tea. You're just helping out with that. But this is after you've done like your checks, pressure area checks, pad changes and things like that. And then you're just making sure everybody's comfortable, everybody's got everything that they need. Also, last but not least, some of the things that you get to do is you are preparing for handover. You are preparing for, like, it's last minute, you're feeding into the nurses because they're already preparing the handover. It's mostly the nurses who type in. It's not typed by healthcare, so you're just telling them, oh, such and such has happened, or such and such has been like this, or such and such have actually opened their bowels. So they're just adding on. You're just making sure the handover is ready and it has got everything in it. So it's just last minute, tying the loose ends. It's towards the end of the shift, so you're just making sure everything is just flawless. So part and parcel of the things that you're doing as well as you wrap up the night is you're tidying up the surfaces. You've been working on desks, on laptops, on computers and everything. You've been doing physical or physiological observations. You've been using equipment. You're now just tidying it up. You're wiping up surfaces, just getting them ready for when the day staff comes in. Part and parcel as well of what you do in the morning is you do not go into the handover again. Why? Because somebody has to be on the floor. So it's only mostly the nurses who go into the handover, and then you're just manning the station. You're just making everyone is comfortable. You're just answering those bells, just making sure everybody is ready for the day, ready for day staff, and that'll be you. So guys, last but not least, before I end this video, is I would like to talk about the tips for managing night shift, because you got to manage this. You got to have a strategy when you go in. This is some of the things that I learned when I started with the NHS, like, oh, this is what they do. And part and parcel of the things that you need to do is staying alert. Why do I emphasize on that? It's because you avoid mistakes. You're staying awake. You are present. You are looking after your people. You're looking after these patients. How do you stay alert? You stay hydrated. You take breaks whenever you need them. So it's quite important. It's very, very important for you to do so. Depending on where you work, how you take breaks, you'll be told. So it's quite important for you to be wary of that. Also, part and parcel of the things that I encourage people to do on a night shift is stay hydrated. Drink water, drink a cup of coffee, drink tea. That's what I do. Fine, I'm not a tea person, but I do try by all means to drink water, drink juices and hot chocolate. It just does it for me. So depending on whatever beverage you prefer, but keep hydrated. Also, part and parcel of the things that you can do to manage the night shift is to pace yourself, have a balance in tasks, balance active tasks with quieter times. It's no point for you to do everything at the beginning of shift and then throughout the night you've got nothing else to do. You're now getting bored, you're now getting sleepy. So what I would do is I would do a certain task as I get in, maybe do hydration, do refill jugs and stuff like that, leave people to sleep, and then after the first initial 4-hourly checks, because part and parcel of what you do in a hospital is these checks, and these checks are timed. There has to be a certain number of hours in between checks. So after my first initial checks, I go on to do another task. What task am I doing? This is like maybe between 10, 11, 12. I'm doing my filing, I'm doing my paperwork. After midnight checks, after the 2 o'clock checks, maybe depending on how staggered they are, what can I do? I'm cleaning equipment, I'm cleaning the lifting equipment, I'm cleaning commodes. Then I give it another break there. Around 4-ish, 5-ish in the morning, it's already time again to refill jugs and do things. I'm doing another task there. So make sure you're balancing your tasks between active tasks and quieter ones. Again, one of the things that I encourage people to do throughout the night is every hour you check patients. So make sure you're going with your small night torch and you're just checking if they're breathing, if they're asleep, if they're comfortable. Make sure you do that. Do not Do not neglect this one. Also, last but not least, one of the things that I do encourage people to do if they do night shift is prioritize self-care. What do I mean by self-care? After you shift, make sure you do sleep, make sure you eat well. Why do I emphasize that is I struggle when I've been on a night shift. It's something that's new to me, but I do struggle to sleep. But I do make sure when I go to bed, I do go to bed. So if you can, get home, get a shower, get a cooper or whatever that calms you, and then try to get some sleep. It goes a long way. It does it for me, honestly. So that's why I do encourage people to say, get rest, get a good rest. Self-care is very important, because you get ready again for your next shift. You are alert, you're there, you're present. Because what this does is you minimize making mistakes. You are just there, because that's why we got there. Also, last but not least, guys, after your night shift, don't just rush home. Take the time to reflect on the shift. How has it been like? Have I done everything that I was meant to do? Did I cover everything? What that does for you is you avoid mistakes, and where you would have missed something, you just quickly hand it over to the staff that are already there. Where you feel I didn't do something, you quickly address it before you go home. So guys, that's all I had for you today. After all, a night shift in the NHS is not as scary as I thought, and again, I do trust you to do a good job with that, guys. I'll see you in our next video, and guys, thank you for subscribing and thank you for sharing. I'll see you next. Bye.